Great offense. What are you seeing out of Brock Purdy, and what makes him kind of difficult to handle?
That's a receiver.
Quarterback.
Oh, yeah, okay. He's mobile. Well, first of all, he's gotten better throughout the entire season. He's gotten better throughout the entire season. Started early and adjusted quickly, and then he moves around well and he throws it well on the when he's on the run. And I think that's kind of what makes him the most dangerous. And then the team is, I think, rallied around him to the point where he's a pretty good leader for him.
Coach Nichols said that you guys had kind of reached out to a few of your old kind of buddies in the Big 12 about Iowa State. Has that kind of been beneficial for you guys, and you guys maybe know a little bit more about what they're doing?
Some, but they do the same stuff all the time. I mean, they're they're a little bit like us from the standpoint, they got their package and the stuff that they believe in, and they do it and they stick with it. And yeah, somewhat, I guess, but I'd say the 12 films are more beneficial.
That's something that happens on a week-to-week basis during the season too. You guys will reach out to coaches who have already played the specific team and kind of talk to them a little bit here and there.
Yeah, sometimes if you have questions or something like that. It's I've got to say that as clever as that sounds, that probably the film is more compelling and more beneficial by quite a bit.
Coach, you got a chance to go to the Alamo yesterday. Anything notable from that trip?
The Alamo was outstanding, very impressive, and also impressive to hear about the potential renovations they might do, because the magnitude and how big that space was, and to fortify it with 189 people would have been very difficult, because you consider in order to have the whole perimeter, I don't know how far apart people would be, but you might have one guy every 20 yards, and then of course if they made a surge, you'd gather up and try to defend the surge. And then, but no, it was extremely impressive. It was very impressive, and there's a bunch of historians there, and the guy in particular that took us around was incredibly knowledgeable, not just about the Alamo, but also other stuff in the world and historical things. So he is a brilliant guy.
Coach, earlier in your career, a little bit about the state of Iowa. You coached at Iowa Wesleyan, where it sounds like you did about everything except for clean the bathrooms. I mean, what sticks out to you about that experience? I cleaned the
bathroom too.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, it was a great place. It was a great place to start out coaching. And the one thing about being at small college is you do everything. So then kind of the dimensions of a football program. One thing I've thought was kind of beneficial. And it's a balancing act, and it seems like in the end a lot of times we all end up maybe in the same place, but if you start out in Division One, then you have some contacts in Division One, and sometimes it'll help you elevate because some people there. The one thing I've always thought starting out and even before that, but NAIA in the case of Iowa Wesleyan, you do everything. You know what the equipment guy does. Because I was the equipment guy. You know what the sports information director does. You know what the let's see. In my case, that I had experience in, equipment, sports information, recruiting, video. Back when you hooked two machines together, and we had an editor that was just horrible. And heck, you could put a man on the moon and that sucker didn't work at all. And then you have rough facilities, so you kind of learn that. We would snow blow fields before games. What else did I do? Let's see. I was never the academic guy. I was the financial aid guy. I was the offensive coordinator, the offensive line coach, and then there's a lot of part-time coaches. So in the end, I'd have a hand in running backs, tight ends, and offensive line. And then, so yeah, I mean, I thought it was a heck of a deal as far as learning a lot of things, and of course you gotta, you're on the move all the time. But it was really a fun deal.
Iowa State on defense, it sounds like they're capable of switching from a 3-4 to a 4-3 without substituting guys. Is that pretty unique, and what kind of dimension does that bring to a defense, and how does that make it challenging for you guys?
Well, it used to be unique. It's not anymore. A lot of guys are doing that. It used to be more unique. Yeah, it's it's not that challenging. You have to identify it, and I mean, really, their players and the urgency they play with, I think, is what's most impressive. Schematically, the biggest thing you're trying to do is recognize it. They don't really hide up much either, though.
Was their game against West Virginia maybe the most impressive defensive game that they played that you've seen?
I don't know. I thought two things in that game, and I thought they were good on defense all year. Two things in that game. West Virginia never really came out of the barrel, and that happens too. And again, I don't want to take anything away from them because it was impressive, and it was a big win for Iowa State. And with all due respect to West Virginia, and we've all had games like this, I thought it had as much to do with West Virginia as it did Iowa State, to be perfectly honest.
When you're looking at film, is it helpful that they do play teams in the Big 12 that like to do similar things to you guys?
Nowadays a lot of teams are doing similar things to us, so kind of a lot of places you see that, but there's comparables. I mean, is it more advantageous that you get to see it, or that you're unique to doing it? I don't know, but so they've seen several teams that do things similar to us.
Did you get any good Christmas gifts this morning or before you left?
No, we do it before we leave. Do it 3 days before we leave, so the newness wears off, and and then you can pack a little lighter to the bowl. So. Yeah, Santa comes to our place early, and it's particularly funny when the kids were younger. Santa would come, there'd be the wrapping paper on the floor and stuff. One of their friends would come over. They'd go, "What's this?" And then one of the kids would say, "Oh, we had Christmas. Santa came and we had Christmas. We had all our stuff." And the kid would say, "Well, Santa didn't come to my house," and well, we have to go to a bowl. The kid, and the kid would say, "Well, how did Santa know?" He goes, "I don't know, but Santa just knows." And then, but yeah, that'd be the thing. And then of course they go to the bowl and run around the halls all night and do cannonballs in the hot tub. So they like the bowl too.